Hello there. Are you ready to embark on a magical adventure with words and rhymes? Today, we have a special treat for you. We're going to read the book, Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? By the legendary author, Dr. Seuss. Let's get started. Did I ever tell you how lucky you are? When I was quite young, and quite small for my size, I met an old man in the desert of Dry Eyes. And he sang me a song I will never forget. At least, well, I haven't forgotten it yet. He sat in a terribly prickly place, but he sang with a sunny sweet smile on his face. When you think things are bad, when you feel sour and blue, when you start to get mad, you should do what I do. Just tell yourself, Ducky, you're really quite lucky. Some people are much more. Oh, ever so much more. Oh, much more unlucky than you. Be glad you don't work on the Bunglebung Bridge that they're building across Boober Bay at Bum Ridge. It's a troublesome world. All the people who are in it are troubled with troubles almost every minute. You ought to be thankful, a whole heaping lot, for the places and people you're lucky you're not. Just suppose, for example, you lived in GA's 8 and got caught in the traffic on Zaddy Highway 8. Or suppose, just for instance, you lived in GA's Air with your bedroom up here and your bathroom up there. Suppose, just suppose, you were poor Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdimbulator apart. He never will get it together, I'm sure. He never will know if the jip or the goer fits into the scrux or the snux or the snower. Yes, Ducky, you're lucky you're not Herbie Hart, who has taken his thromdimbulator apart. Think they work you too hard. Think of poor Ollie Sard. He has to mow grass in his uncle's backyard. And it's quick-growing grass. And it grows as he mows it. The faster he mows it, the faster he grows it. And all that his stingy old uncle will pay for his shoving that mower around in the hay is the piffulous pay of 2 duklas a day. And Ollie can't live on such piffulous pay. So he has to paint flagpoles on Sundays and grooves. How lucky you are. You don't live in his shoes. And poor Mr. Bix. Every morning at 6. Poor Mr. Bix has his borfin to fix. It doesn't seem fair. It just doesn't seem right. But his borfin just seems to go schlump every night. It schlumps in a heap, sadly needing repair. Bix figures it's due to the local night air. It takes him all day to unschlump it. And then the night air comes back, and it schlumps once again. So don't you feel blue. Don't get down in the dumps. You're lucky you don't have a borfin with schlumps. And, while we are at it, consider the schlots. The crumplehorn, web-footed, green-bearded schlots, whose tail is entailed with unsolvable knots. If he isn't muchly more worse off than you, I'll eat my umbrella. That's just what I'll do. And you're lucky, indeed, you don't ride a camel. To ride on a camel, you sit on a wammel. A wammel, you know, is a sort of a saddle, held on by a button that's known as a faddle. And, boy, if your old wammel faddle gets loose, I'm telling you, Ducky, you're gone like a goose. And poor Mr. Potter, T-crosser, I-daughter, he has to cross T's, and he has to dot I's, in an INT factory, out in Van Nuys. Oh, the jobs people work at. Out west, near Hotch Hotch, there's a Hotch Hotcher bee watcher. His job is to watch, is to keep both his eyes on the lazy town bee. A bee that is watched will work harder, you see. Well, he watched and he watched. But, in spite of his watch, That bee didn't work any harder. Not much. So somebody said, our old bee watching man just isn't bee watching as hard as he can. He ought to be watched by another hotch-hotcher. The thing that we need is a bee watcher. Well, the bee watcher watched the bee watcher. He didn't watch well. So another hotch-hotcher had to come in as a watcher. And today all the hotchers who live in Hotch are watching on watching the watcher who's watching the bee. You're not a hotch watcher. You're lucky, you see. And how fortunate you're not Professor DeBreeze, who has spent the past 32 years, if you please, trying to teach Irish ducks how to read Javanese. And think of the poor puffing Pugglehorn players who have to parade down the Pugglehorn stairs every morning to wake up the Prince of Pooboken. It's awful how often their puggles get broken. And, oh, just suppose you were poor Harry Haddo. Try as he will, he can't make any shadow. He thinks that, perhaps, something's wrong with his giz. And I think that, by golly, there probably is. And the brothers Bazoo. The poor brothers Bazoo. Suppose your hair grew like theirs happened to do. You think you're unlucky. I'm telling you, ducky. Some people are muchly, oh, ever so muchly more unlucky than you. And suppose that you lived in that forest in France, where the average young person just hasn't a chance to escape from the perilous pants-eating plants. But your pants are safe. You're a fortunate guy. And you ought to be shouting, how lucky am I. And, speaking of plants, you should be greatly gladish. You're not Farmer Falkenberg's 17th radish. And you're so lucky. You're not Gucky Gown, who lives by himself 90 miles out of town in the ruins of Ronk. Ronk is rather run down. And you're so lucky. You're not a left sock, left behind by mistake in the caverns of Croc. Thank goodness for all of the things you are not. Thank goodness you're not something someone forgot and left all alone in some punkerish place, like a rusty tin coat hanger handing in space. That's why I say, ducky, don't grumble. Don't stew. Some critters are much, oh, ever so much, so much more unlucky than you. The end. Well, my friends, our adventure in the world of Dr. Seuss has come to an end. Wasn't that a delightful journey? We marveled at the imaginative illustrations and explored the wondrous places only Dr. Seuss could create. I encourage you to keep exploring the magical world of books on your own. Visit your local library, create a cozy reading nook in your room, and dive into the pages of countless adventures that await you. Stay curious, keep reading, and I'll see you all in our next journey through the world of books. Bye.